Hey, hi, good afternoon, team.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
So, how was your exam? How was your exam?
That's good, sir.
Good. Okay, fine. So, let's start. So, last time, what we learned, we have seen different SDLC model, right? Software Development Lifecycle Model. So, that is waterfall model. We have gone through it. Then the spiral model, Big Bang model, right? Now, today we are going to focus on V model or VNV model, right? So, that is a verification and a validation model. Previously, it was called as a W model also. There was a V and V. V is for the verification, and the other V is for validation. Correct. So that is what we are trying to understand. What is verification and the validation, right? Let me just share the screen and let's start with the models. Okay, team. Right. See, we have seen why this, how this important, that is the software testing is all about, and we have gone through this, the different scenarios. Then SDLC models like waterfall model, Big Bang model, right? Then the spiral model. Then there is a something called as a prototype model. So, any idea about the prototype model, team? Do you have any idea about this prototype? Hello, all of you are there. Had your lunch?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Or all of you are feeling sleepy?
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
No,
Mm,
sir.
correct. That is what. Yeah. So I'm asking something like, do you know what is a prototype model?
No, sir.
No. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of prototype?
Prototype is like a plant model.
Plan means
An example for the original model.
okay. Okay. Fine. Prototype is nothing but it is a sample, basically. Right. So it's a sample model. Say, for example, now I can give you a very simple example to understand this prototype. Right. Say you people are developer, I am a client, and I am a non-technical person. I don't have any idea about this in the website or anything. It's totally I am into the non-technical. And if you ask me, sir, can you please provide us the requirement, correct, or what you are looking for? So I will say that yes, I can provide you, but I don't know much about it. Okay. So let's take an example that I am a builder. Okay. Right. Builder in terms of that is a site builder, right? So you are asking me, yes, sir, can you please provide us and we will develop you this software or this the website for you. So I will say this, see, this is what I have. So I will show you all this with the uh, manuals and whatever the manual task I did generally. So that I gave it to you, and I say that this is my the basically requirement. This is what I generally do. So based on this, the requirement that the developers are going to develop one sample application for me. Okay, as I am a client. So what you will do, this is a new project kind of a thing, and you didn't get the exact requirement, right? Or a clear requirement. Underline the word that is a clear requirement. The requirement is not clear, right? As I am a non-technical person, you ask me, okay, can you please provide this requirement? And I gave blah blah. That is a raw material, everything. So based on that only, you people are trying to develop this software or this website. Based on that only, right? So you don't have any exact requirement, right? And how you are going to develop it. So you know that, okay, this is, the site builder or something, he's the builder. So we have to give like that only, right? So definitely you will check the constructor, the sites and all, and then you are going to design that particular site or an application, and you are going to show me that sample application. And based on that sample application, when you show me, sir, this is what, the sample application, or this is the application that we have developed, can you just take a review of that, right? So this is called as a prototyping. So what you are going to show me, you are going to show me the replica kind of thing, or it's a sample in the application like that only. You are going to show me, and you are going to take a feedback. And based on that feedback, then I am going to tell you, no, I don't want this. I want this. I don't want like this. I want like this. Correct. So then you people will get it, the exact requirement. Okay, then you people will get it the exact requirement, and based on that exact requirement, you people will develop a software, and that is what it is called as a prototype model. So in short, into bracket, you can write it down. That is a sampling. Prototype is nothing but it is a sampling. Okay, it's a sample project. Okay. So this is all about the SDLC model. This is all about the spiral model. So last time we have already discussed about the spiral model. For each and every model, we have to find out, the risk which is associated with it, and we have to find out the solution for that, and then we have to move to the next iteration. So the iteration will go on and on, right, till the final product get released. And this is what it is called as a spiral model. Okay, we already discussed about this Intel Pentium bug, right? So there is a calculation. If you check it out, this is the calculation. And if you type this calculation, okay, in your CPU right now, current CPU, you will get the 0 answer. But if you ask me about the old, the old Intel Pentium CPU, it was a floating point division bug was there, and it was not getting the correct answer. Okay, and ultimately it was a public outcry, and Intel had to spend $400 million to replace the faulty chips, and that's why even the software testing is necessary. Okay, software testing is necessary. Okay, then the Therac 25 we have already done. Okay, there is another, so many things are there. You can just go and just check it out. Right. Now, let's try to understand what is quality. We are going to discuss about the V&V model as well as the agile model, okay, separately. Right. Okay, now what is the quality? How could you define quality, team? Any idea about the quality? See, when you go and purchase it, right? So definitely you people will, what it is called as, you are going to check the quality of that product, right? If you want to purchase, say, mobile phone, then definitely you are going to check whether it is a branded mobile phone, it has all features within your budget, etc. So this is what everything, if you get it within a budget, then you can purchase that particular mobile phone. The same way, if you go and purchase for in the vegetables or fruits, so you are going to check whether these vegetables and the fruits are fresh, and then only you will buy it. Yes or no, team? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how could you define it, quality, team? General term, okay. I'm not asking you the technical term. Don't tell me about the technical term. Just think about the it's in a general term, and just tell me that what exactly this in a technical term. Don't technical term. Sorry, I'm talking about the general term. Yeah. Yes.
Material standards and working.
Yes, you are little bit closer. Perfectly right. So we have to check whether it is meeting all these standards. So there are some standards are there which is defined for the quality, like ISO standard. Everybody heard about it, right? Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So what is that ISO stands for?
International Standard Organization.
Okay, that is one answer. Anybody else? Speak team. There are 20 people. More than 20. I'm not going to call you individually. So please speak. Even if it,
International or standardization
international
organization.
ISO, right? So it's International Organization for Standardization. Correct. So this is called as ISO. It's not like that International Standard Organization. No, it is International Organization for Standardization. So there are some, the standards are rating, like, okay, so if you go with the ISO 2001, 9001, there are so many standards, different standards for different, the departments, like for IT department or for IT, it's totally different, right? For the mechanical domain, it's totally different. There are different standards are there. Okay, if you go with the medical, right, there is another standard. So yes, when we talk about the quality, definitely, right? See, the quality, when we talk about the quality, it is again divided into the QA and QC, right? So QA stands for it is a quality assurance, and QC stands for it is a quality control. Okay, QA stands for quality assurance and QC stands for quality control. Remember. Now, let's define it first. Quality. Okay, there are so many authors are there, and they have defined their own, the definitions. So you can just go through that definitions, like the Edward Deming. He tells something about that the quality can be defined only in terms of the the agent, which is the supplier, then the worker, manager, and the other stakeholder, customer. And the customer is the important part of the production system. So this is what the W. Edward it's defined. Then the Joseph M. Juran, he defined that the producer's view and the consumer's view. So producer's view is the adherence to specifications and the fitness for use consumer points of view. Now what we can define, how we can say that the quality. Let's take a simple example that everybody knows in the idli sambar. Okay, then when you go for the Chennai, right, that side you will get it at different kinds of idlis, right? In Hyderabad also we will get it different kinds of idli.
Yes, sir, we can.
What are the different types are there? I want to understand.
Like ragi.
Okay.
And some millets idlis.
Okay, there are different flavors are there in Chennai.
Yeah.
I have seen so many different flavors of idlis we will get it, right? Okay, correct, good. So when we talk about the idli sambar, you have some the specific test and the picture of that idli sambar. Okay, right. And as a customer, means you are a customer, right? And you have some expectation, right, from that idli, that the idli should be look like this and the taste should be like that, whatever it is. So you have some kind of the specification of that idli in your mind. Okay, right. You have something, if that required something, oh, this is an idli, then I should get it, something into it. So you have something in your mind. And then there is another point of view, which is called as, the producer's points of view. Producer is nothing but who is going to make an idli, correct? Idli sambar, right? Hotel wala, I can say that, you know, this. So if he gives a idli sambar of the cost is rupees, say 80 rupees or 100 rupees, something like that, then whether are you going to purchase that idli sambar? If he tells you, ki, okay, this is idli sambar is rupees 100, are you going to purchase it? Yes or no? No. I got one answer, that is no.
If quality is good, we can buy it.
Okay, if its quality is good, we can buy it. Okay. But if you generally think about it, right, the cost of that idli sambar is goes to maximum 50 rupees up to 60 rupees. But if he is charging, which is not expected, beyond that, the expectation, he is charging like 5-star hotel, like that only, 100, 120, and we will get it at normal idlis only. Okay, that kind of stuff. So what will happen? You will say that, oh no, I will not go again, right? So when we talk about the quality, the same thing. When we talk about the quality, we should consider 2 points of view. One is the consumer points of view or the customer points of view, and the another one is called as a producer's points of view. Okay, so customers' points of view, that the product should meet its the uh, satisfaction. Okay, so when you eat idli, then you should say that, wow, it's very tasty, right? Right. So that is wow should come as a consumer or as a customer. What you are going to say that, wow, it's so tasty, yeah, perfectly right, definitely. So we will we will come over here only. So it's like that. So what is that? You are very much satisfied about his product, right? That is the one thing. And the producer should also think about the customer points of view also, right? That the product should be get into the reasonable price. Okay, it should be a reasonable price, and it should be a tasty, or it should be a quality one. So producers point of view, product should meet its specification. I repeat, producers points of view. Okay, producers points of view, that the product should meet its specification or user's requirement, or we can call this as a user's requirement. All of you are getting my point when we talk about general definition. Okay, see, it is a very, very simple general definition about the quality. When we talk about the quality team, understand there are 2 points of view. One is the customer points of view, and another one is the producer's points of view. So the customer points of view, product should meet its satisfaction, underline the word satisfaction. And producer's points of view, that the product should meet its user's requirement or a specification. Remember, everyone is clear about quality.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and the Philip, the prospect, so he defines that it's a conformance to requirement. It's a conformance to requirement. So these are the the different definitions of the quality. Okay, fine. Now let's move to the next step, that is quality assurance and quality control. Okay, 1 minute. Let me just go into the quality assurance. Let's try to understand what is quality assurance and quality control. I'm going to ask you that the testing activity, the software testing activity, comes under QA activity or QC activity. This is my question to you people. Okay, see, try to understand. My question is, this software testing comes under QA activity or QC activity?
QA.
QAs.
QA, sir.
Okay. How many of you are saying that it's QA? You can raise your hands and say that, it's QA. Let me just check it out. How many of you are saying it's QA activity? Vinith is also saying it's QA. Nishant is also saying QA. Okay, more than 13. Right. Oh, okay. I'm getting so many, almost. Right. Naveen is not saying, Pradeep is also not saying that it is a QA activity. Why, Pradeep, you are not saying it is QA activity?
I think it's both.
You are thinking it comes under both QA and QC. Okay. What about Rajendra?
I also think same, sir. Like it will come under both.
Okay. Fine. Right. No problem. No problem. So let me just explain you about this, the QA activity, right? So you people can easily understand that what exactly the QA and QC. QA, it is a work, the process oriented. Okay, let me just note it down. Let me just open a notepad. It's there, but I don't think so. 1 minute. What I will do is, let's see. Understand this QA activity. It is a work process oriented. You see, it is a work product oriented. So QA, I think it is a preventive and it is a detective, right? QA activity is done by senior team members, right? Okay, let's try to understand this first. What is work process oriented and what is work product oriented? And then you people have to tell me testing comes under which, whether it comes under QA or QC. Let's take an example of preparation of a cup of tea. A cup of tea. Okay, everybody knows, or cup of coffee, whatever it is. I am just taking as an example. So it is a cup of tea. So how to prepare a cup of tea, right? We know that what is a proportion to prepare a cup of tea, right? So half cup of water, half cup of milk, right? 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon of the tea powder, then the boiling. So this is the entire in the process is already defined for this, the to get a cup of tea. Okay, a cup of tea. So this is the entire process which is defined, already defined. It's already defined. Now, once you get a cup of tea, right, ready means in hand, what you will do, tea? Yes, team. If tea is ready, it's everything. The process is already done and product is ready. Then what you will do?
We'll see the taste.
You are going to test it. Correct. You are going to test it. Now, when you test it, then and then only you people will come to know whether the sugar is less, right? Whether we need to add a little bit of tea powder, right? Whether it is required little bit of boiling, whatever it is, right? When you will come to noting, when you test it, when you are going to test it, when the product gets ready, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So testing comes under
QC.
QC.
I'm not saying, you people are telling me, right? So try to understand this, So QA, it is a work process oriented, and QC, it is a work product oriented, right? Okay. So let's see what are the things are there. So about the QA activity and QC activity. Okay. Quality assurance, it is a work process oriented. So our objective or the goal is team, right? See, you should identify the defect in the product, right? Have you ate Parle G biscuits?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody can tell me what do you feel when you try to eat that Parle G? When you taste it, that the Parle G biscuit, sometimes you feel something and sometimes you feel something. Why like that? Did you observe it anytime? Are you getting my question?
Yes, sir.
See, when you try to eat that or when you taste this one Parle G biscuit, then you feel that I should finish that Parle G biscuit entire, the complete box, right? In one shot. It's like that. So the taste is so nice that I can, it's very tasty that the Parle G. And I tested, I ate one. Oh, I feel, yeah, it's very tasty. Then I try to eat second, third, and I will finish it off that the entire in the box. Right? And sometimes it might happen that the same Parle G is there, but when I try to eat it, I'm not getting that taste. What I did it, I tested before. I'm not getting that taste. So what is that? What is the problem of that?
Sir, it's because quality is not ensured. I mean, they are not properly checking every packet while
Right.
manufacturing.
Yeah, there is something called as a process, right? And they made some mistake in that process. Okay, there are something called as a batches. You know that the biscuit will come in the different batches. There is a batch numbers. If you check it out, okay, for that you will get it something batches over the batch numbers are there. So some batches are very tasty. Why? Because they follow the entire process and the proportion, everything, the time period for getting into the zone, right? So everything it's already defined in, okay. But sometimes it might happen that the workers they do it's very hurry and then they will take off, okay, and then we are not getting that test what we tested it, for the other in the batches, something like that. And then we feel that, oh no, it's not like that. So you will eat one or two biscuits and then you will stop. Okay, it happens like that only. So that is what it is called as a work process team, right? That is what it is called as a work process. They follow it, but in the certain extent something was missed out, and they were not getting that the exact product what they made it in the last time or something like that. So okay, it happens like that. So obviously, that they measure the process and identify the deficiencies. Deficiencies is nothing but the errors. Okay, the faults, right? So obviously, we are here to find out the faults, error in the work product, and we can suggest the improvements. Okay, even we can suggest the improvements. Okay, you did this, right? It was not tasty. Can you just add a little bit of the salt and something, so it will get more testing. So you will suggest some kind of improvements. So this is all about the quality assurance. Now the next point is the direct result of these activities are changes to the process. I will come to this point. I will explain it. Don't worry about it. These changes can be range from better compliance result with the process to entirely new processes. Now, what I mean to say, team C, say instead of sugar, if you add in the salt, okay, just check it out. We are preparing a cup of tea, and instead of sugar, if you add the salt, then the tea become salty. So what you are going to do, whether you are going to add sugar into it, what you will do, tell me, team. My question is, see, instead of adding the sugar into that a cup of tea, by mistake we added the salt, and that tea becomes the salt tea. Now I want to the just improve that. So for improvement, what I do is I will add a sugar. That will work.
No, sir.
No. Then what we are going to do?
We will again start the new process.
Correct. We are going to start with the new process. We are going to throw out that the entire tea, right? It's waste, totally waste. So we will throw this, and then we will start with the new process. And this is what it is called as we should get the better result with the process to entirely new processes. Hope that this is clear now, this point. Yes, team?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Okay. Now the next is the output of the quality control activity is often the input of the quality assurance activity. Forget it. Now audit is an example of a QA activity. Okay, audit is an example of a QA activity, and testing is an example of QC activity. Okay, review, testing is an examples of, these are the different examples of the QC activity. The end result may be suggested improvements or a better compliance with the process. End result is nothing but once we get the product, right? When we test it, then to improve, how we'll come to know that whether we have to improve in the process or not when we test it. And then again, the quality assurance process will comes into the picture. It will start. The process QA activity will start it, right? And these are the different attributes, quality attributes, software quality attributes. There is a standard called as a IEEE standard. Everybody knows what is IEEE, and this is ISO standard. So when we check the IEEE standard, it gives the preference to the efficiency. Then it will check the functionality, then maintainability, portability, reliability, usability. So this is the standard they follow in IEEE. There is a sequence basically, or the priority, I can say that, right? When you go with the ISO will focus on the functionality first. They will focus on the priority. They will give the priority to the functionality first. Then the reliability, usability, efficiency, maintainability, and portability. Okay. Now, what is quality control? Quality control, it is a work product oriented, right? They measure the product now and identifying the errors and suggest some kind of improvement. Then the direct result of these activities is obviously changes to the product. As I said that if you add sugar, the salt, then that becomes, the product becomes a salty. So obviously, so it is getting impacted on the product directly. These changes can be range a single line of code and changes completely rework a product from the design phase. So we have to start with the scratch. We are not going to resolve that error. Okay, better option is we have to start with the scratch and then start with the new coding itself. They evaluate the product, identify the weakness, and suggest the improvement. Okay, so that is what the quality control. Testing and the reviews are the of QC activity. Testing and the reviews are the examples of quality control activity. And the QC activities are often the starting point for QA activity. See, QC activities are often the starting point. Understand this line for quality assurance activity. So obviously, so when you come to know that there is something is missing, when you test it, and then you can start with the QA activity. Like, okay, there is, the little bit sugar should get added. So you are going to add the sugar, you are going to boil that tea again little bit, and then you can test it and drink it. So this is what about the quality assurance and quality control team. Everyone has understood this? Yes, team? Hey, hi, everyone, speak.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Yeah. Now this is a summary of quality assurance and quality control. So QA is nothing but quality assurance, and QC is nothing but quality control. QA, it is a work process oriented. QC, it is a work product oriented. QA, it is a preventive, and QC, it is a detective. Right? Prevention is much better than QA, right? So this is QA activity. We should improve it. Then we won't get it any error into the QC. This is what means. So this is a preventive and this is a detective. When you get something, then you can the bandage it, and then you can start so that is what it is, a detective. So example of a QA activity is quality audit, and QC is nothing but the testing or the review. So the QA activity is generally done by the senior members, and QC is generally done by the testers. Everyone has clear about it, team? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, clear. Right. QA and QC is done, right? So let's move to the next. Do you have any questions and anything else? No questions, team? Let's move. Okay, fine. Let's move to this. You have already seen what is testing and all psychology of the testing. Right. So we are trying to understand what is verification, basic forms of testing. And V model, V&V model, right? We are trying to understand that is a V&V model. Okay, right. So this the manual testing is little bit theoretical thing. Okay, might be you are getting bored, but I am trying to make it little bit interactive kind of a session, so you won't get it bored, right? So, but this is an entire theoretical part. So we are trying to understand all the concepts about this, the testing fundamentals, right? So we should know what is black box testing, white box testing, then what are the levels of testing, etc., etc. Okay, let's move ahead with the software testing. So software testing equals to verification plus validation, right? Now we are trying to understand what is verification and what is validation. So in short, verification is nothing but review process and validation is nothing but execution. So that is what it is called as a verification and a validation. Okay, now let's move to the next. So verification and the validation. Now you can see that there is a one way team. There is a one way, single way. Okay, now if you check it out in Google, right, you will get it only a single V. It's not V&V or W model, right? Previously, it was a W model and it was very easy to understand. I will show you this thing. Okay, so that's why I'm using this PPT presentations to understand that the traditional approach. Basically, it was not traditional, but yes, but it was so easy to understand it actually. If you check it out, this thing, right? So this V model, which is a verification model, right? There is a requirement, there is an analysis, right? Then there is a design, then the code, build system, build software, and release for use. So these are the different phases are there for one V model, right? That is called as a verification model, right? Or a static verification and a validation, right? See, this is dotted line is one V, And this solid line is also a one way. Okay, now if you check it out, all these activities are going parallelly. Okay, parallelly in terms of the development and the testing activity starts parallel. Okay, this is called as a development phase and this is called as a testing phase. Okay, now you can see that there is a requirement. Understand this V and V model team. There is a requirement we should start with the review process. Okay, we should go with that review. We should confirm it, right? Okay, we are trying to understand it. The requirement is clear. And that's why we have to go with this in the review process. Then the next is called as this functional specification. In the functional specification, we have to go through this functional specification and then again we have to take a review of this functional specification and prepare a test plan. For each and every level team, we should prepare a test plan. Okay, say for example, you are into the unit testing, then you should prepare a unit test plan. If you are into the integration testing, right, we are going to see that what is mean by unit, integration, system, and acceptance test means. We are going to see these are the different levels of testings are there, and that we are going to see in details. Okay, so if you check it out, right, team, see, this is a requirement. Then the requirement we have to take a review of those requirements. Okay, once it is done, then we have to move to the next phase, which is called as a functional specification. Functional specification, we have to take a review of those functional specification. Okay, and then we have to, once this test plan is over, then we have to move to the design phase. Team. Design is over, then we have to move to the design, that is a revised test plan. Okay, design review and then revised test plan. Once this is over, then we have to start with the coding activity. We have to take a code review part using a different tools are available. Okay, so that is what the code review is done. Once the code review is done, then we can start with the unit testing. That is a single unit is working fine or not, right? Then we have to go with the build the system. Whole system is ready, right? That the integration part and everything. So we have to perform the integration testing. Okay, once the integration testing is done, it will build the entire software. Whole system is ready. Then the system, okay, so this, the integration is done, right? The whole system is ready. We should perform the system testing now. Okay, so once the system is over, then we have to release for the use, and then we have to check the acceptance test. Okay, so this is what the zigzag, if you check it out, and everything, these activities are going parallelly. The requirement to review, this is the parallelly. Then the function specification review, this is also going parallelly. We should prepare a test plan for each and every level. Right, so that is a unit test plan, integration test plan, system test plan, and UAT test plan, user acceptance test plan. Right, everyone is clear about this VNV model?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is one V, it's verification. Another V, it's validation, or it is called as a static testing, and one is called as a dynamic testing, executing on a system, right? So let's try to understand what is verification and what is validation. So we have completed that is a VNV model or a V model. Now let's move and try to understand what is verification and validation. So the first is, what is verification? So the verification, what is mean by the verification? So verification, it is a process of confirming. Okay, it is a process of confirming whether software meets its specification. Try to understand it. Okay, Verification is nothing but, say for example, if you purchase any mobile phone team, okay, you will get a piece of box, right? Okay, and you will get it some kind of a manual. If you are new into the mobile phone, right, and then you are going to read that manual very carefully, and that is what it is called as a verification. That is, you're going through the documentation, you're going to read that documentation, and which is called as a verification. It is also called as a static process. It is also called as a static process. Okay, next is the process of reviewing or inspecting deliverables throughout the life cycle. Okay, now what is mean by the deliverables? Correct, underline the word deliverables and try to understand. If you want to note it down, you can note it down, this deliverables. Okay, so deliverables are nothing but there is a test cases, test plan, all this document specification, requirement doc. We have to deliver it to the client. We have to submit it to the client. When you write it down, the test cases, you should, submit it to the client that we have, the written this so many test cases. Okay, right. So you should submit it to this, the client. So client will go through this, the verification, right? It will go through all the documentation. So whatever we are going to say, defect report, example, I'm giving you the examples like defect report, test cases, specification doc, anything that you submit it to the client, which is called as the deliverables. Now the next is, what are the different, the examples, verification techniques, right? That is inspection, walkthrough, and reviews. And we are going to discuss in details these verification techniques. Okay, what are the verification techniques like peer review, walkthrough, and inspection? So we are going to see this in details later. It's upcoming session. We are going to discuss this in detail. So don't worry about it. Now the next is verification is the process of examining the product to discover its defect. Yes, ultimate goal is to discover its defect. Okay, we have to discover or we have to identify the defects in the product, and that's why we have to perform this in the verification or validation, whatever it is. So that's why verification, it is a process of examining, okay, not executing, examining the product to discover its defect. So see, once we get the requirement in, once we get the requirement, right, excuse me, then you have to take a review of those requirements. Why we should go with the review process team? Can you tell me why this is required review process? If the requirement is wrong itself and you develop a software, so ultimately whatever the result you people are getting, right, or the final product we are getting, which is absolutely wrong, right? So better option is at the the beginning stage of the development, we should verify that the requirement is correct, right? We have to check the requirement is correct, and then only we should start with the testing activity. So that's why the review process is very, very important, and we should find out the bugs at the earlier stage, okay, at the beginning itself. So that's why we follow this in the VNV modality. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Vinith, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Then the next, it is also called as a static process. We are not executing on a computer. Okay, we are going to check it, verify verify the document, verify these test cases, review those test cases. This is called as a verification technique. We are not executing on a computer. And verification is nothing but, are we building a product right? Is called as a verification. What is a verification? Are we building a product right? Is a verification. And what is a validation? Are we building a right product? Is called as a validation. Okay, and it is a dynamic testing. It is also called as a dynamic testing. Validation is also called as a dynamic testing. We are executing on a computer. Okay, so see, verification, it is a human examination or review of work product. Okay, verification, it is a human examination or review of work product, right? So let's try to understand what is validation. So validation, it is a process of confirming whether software meets its user requirement. Underline the term, that is a user's requirement. It is a process. Validation, it is a process of confirming whether software it meets user's requirement. That is what it is called as a validation. So obviously, so once you get the mobile phone, you are going through this the documentation. You are going to check how to switch on the Bluetooth. You are going to check camera settings, right? So first you are going through this documentation first, and then accordingly, then you are going to follow all the steps, and you are trying to execute it on your mobile phone, and that is what it is called as an execution, or we can call this as a validation. The process of executing something to see how it behaves. Okay, the process of executing something to see. So there is something called as an execution. Okay, we can call this as an execution. Remember, team, right? So we can call this as an execution. Where is that execute? Executing something to see how it behaves. Then unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and user acceptance testing. These are the example of validation techniques. These are the example of validation techniques. Now the next is, excuse me, validation. It is a process of executing the product to expose its defect. So ultimate goal is what? To expose its defect, to find out, to discover its defect. This is our goal. Okay, testing goal, to expose its defect, right? Now it is also called as dynamic testing, executing on a computer, and that's why it is called as a dynamic testing. Are we building a right product? Is called as a validation. And are we building a product right? Is called as a verification. Okay, so if you go for a verification, see, it is a product right, and this is a right product. Okay, so remember this. What is validation? Are we building a product right? Okay, so this is called as validation. And are we building a product right? Is called as a verification. It is a static approach. We are not executing on a computer. Without execution on a computer, just we are going through this, right? And this is called as a verification. So all of you have understood this, team. What is verification and what is validation, team?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
right. Now, if you check it out, there are something called as the test technique. Okay, somebody asked you, can you please tell me about this, the different types of the test technique or the testing techniques, right? So now you can see that there is a static and dynamic, means verification and a validation. In short, this is called as a verification, and this is called as a validation. Okay, this is called as a validation, right? So now when we talk about the static approach, it is divided into three different, there are three different methods or the techniques are there, verification techniques. One is called as a peer review, walkthrough, and then inspection. Okay, and when we talk about the validation, there is something called as a structural testing and behavioral testing. Structural is nothing but which is called as a white box testing team. This is called as a white box testing. Behavioral is nothing but there is something called as a black box testing. This is called as a black box testing. How to perform this white box testing? Okay, we understood this in the white box testing. There is something called as a data flow. There is something called as a control flow. Then the control flow is again divided into the statement coverage, branch decision coverage, in the condition coverage. These are the different methods that we can call this as a white box methods. Statement coverage, branch decision coverage, conditional coverage. When we talk about this black box testing, which is divided into the functional and non-functional. Okay, so non-functional is nothing but which is a system testing. Okay, non-functional is nothing but it is a system testing. That is a usability testing, performance testing, compatibility testing, everything comes under non-functional testing. And then there is something called as a functional. So under this functional testing, how to perform it using something called as a boundary value analysis and something called as an equivalence partitioning. Okay, now what is this boundary value analysis, sir? What is this equivalence partitioning? Yes, we will discuss it each and every level step by step. Okay, so first we are trying to understand what is a static testing, what is a dynamic testing. Then we are trying to understand what is white box testing, what is a black box testing, right? And then we can go ahead with the different methods: statement coverage, branch decision coverage, conditional coverage, cyclomatic complexity, etc. So this is all about the different test techniques. Everyone has understood? Clear? Or any question, any doubt?
Nothing. Sir.
Understood.
Okay,
Okay.
fine. So um, okay, so we have seen this in the principles. Like testing shows presence of defect. Exhaustive testing is not possible. Earlier testing, then the testing is a context dependent. Absence of errors are falsy. Okay, then the pesticide paradox, defect clustering. So I think I gave the assignment to you, that is absence of error falsy. Anyone have done this? I gave the assignment to you people. Hope you remember. We have already completed a 7 testing principle. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I think I gave this in the, I think as an assignment to you people, that you have to just check it out only one principle, that is absence of error falsy. I explained that is a defect clustering also. Yes, Vinith?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So have you done this? What is mean by the absence of error falsy? Anybody can explain me?
Sir, it means that if your software is unusable, then it does not, I mean, it means that how many ever defects are there, it can't be fixed. Like, if they are fixed also, it's still unusable.
Okay, fine. Anybody else? What is mean by this absence of error falsity? I gave this assignment, right?
If it does not follow user requirements.
Okay. See, now you explain me like this, only within a one sentence. So if I explain you within a one sentence like pesticide paradox, you have to update your test cases, right? You should not use that test cases again and again to find out more bugs. Finish. This is okay for you? If I don't tell, in depth, right? Or I can say that in details, just I explain that pesticide paradox, definition of pesticide paradox. What does mean by pesticide paradox? There are test cases, update that test cases to find out more defect. Finish. Defect clustering, small, that is 80-20. What is that 80-20? Which principle? Defect clustering. Okay, do one thing. You people have to go through this in the testing principle right away. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I'm giving you, now it's 4/7. Okay, so 4/7 p.m. So till 4:30, you people have to go through the SDLC model, 7 testing principles, whatever we did, verification and the validation. Okay, I will ask you any question about this. So just go and prepare it. I will give you 15 minutes till 4:30. So almost half an hour is there. So you people have to just be prepared on this. Okay, all of you are getting this point? Just do it yourself. If you don't do it yourself, then you don't do it. I know that. So better option is do it now only. So I will give you half an hour. So 4:30 we will connect it again. Do it. I will ask any questions about it. Please. Yeah. Chalo.